on or Football Republic, if you want to put it quote unquote.
Voting for or
against him. And it's based on what he would do from. I think their judgment will come on what he's done from 2019 to 2027. Mm-hmm. That's when we get to vote again. So it would be down to football delegates again to decide if Kett is good enough or it's not good enough.
What about those who ran against him in the past? Have they said anything? For instance, Amanda Clinton, I think, contested. There were other persons who contested.
Yes.
Have any of those said anything?
Well, we've not heard from them yet. I think we'll get back to them. In fact, one person who was part of that normalization committee in 2019 in now Dofole is part of the current GFA statutes review committee. All right. And so if at the time in 2019 she was part of that committee that said that we can't allow the GFA boss to go 12 terms like what we saw under Nyanthechi, and she's now part of the current GFA review statutes committee, I think she's the best person to actually explain to the ordinary Ghanaian why they've decided to put that proposal put together by the GFA statute committee submitted to the clubs. I think she'll be the best person to actually give us a proper explanation.
Very well. Thank you so much. Are there any other sticking points that you need to share before you go?
So another thing they also spoke about, or they also voted for, was to elect a second vice president in the person of somebody who would be a woman to champion women's football, to elevate women's football on the back of what the Black Queens have done at the just ended WAFCON, and also to change the narrative around women's football. So that was also approved by the GFA. The football delegates who are the Congress. And then another major thing to that was spoken there was, the GFA have a new partnership with Adisa Productions. We wanted to know if that 18 million Ghana cedis is coming from government, or who is it coming from? We asked that question. We asked the duration of it, if there's an exit clause, and the answer from Keto Kriko, who is the GFA boss, said that the partnership is between the Ghana Football Association, Adisa Productions, and support. I'm quoting Kett, support from government, but did not say who is which particular government member is supporting this, because at that ceremony that was held at some few weeks ago, we saw a few government officials in there. That's Julius, Chief of Staff Julius Debra, and also Mama Eriga, who's the majority leader in there. So people were beginning to question the support from governments. Who exactly did it? Yeah.
Gabby, just hold on. I want to go to the GFA and speak to the Public Relations Officer of the GFA, Henry Asante Chum, ran away from the media to go and do PR. Head of Communication. Mr. Asante Chum, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello? Henry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Your background sounds very noisy. I don't know if you can do anything about it. Or you appear to be
unfortunately, I am driving on the motorway, so.
Just be careful. Let's talk about this major event. Tell us where you learned this from. You said that it was good practice, international best practice. Which areas or countries are we learning from to decide to extend the presidential term limit from 2 to 3?
Well, countries we are learning from. Well, I'll say that first of all, our continental governing body, which is CAF, has a 3-term limit for the president. Also, FIFA, that is the World Football Governing Body, has a 3-term for the president. In our circles, we can talk about Senegal, who recently held their version of their electoral congress to elect new executives to run their football. Their president was in power for 4 terms, actually, but that cannot be compared to our situation. What informs this decision, aside the FIFA and CAF standard practice, is also to align what we have in our statutes. Per the 2019 statutes, the Executive Council members can run for more than 2 terms, but the president's limit was actually pegged at 2 terms. And so we felt that there was some sort of inconsistency and discrepancy in those two key areas. The reason why I am saying this, the president is the chairman of the executive council. The executive council here acts as the board of the company or the association. So if ordinary members of the board can run for 3 terms, the president who chairs the board can only run for 2 terms. And so we felt that, it doesn't align, and there is that inconsistency and discrepancy in those two areas. And compared to standard practice at FIFA and CAF, our members felt there was a need for us to peg the two positions at 3 terms each, which is why, first of all, we went through the process of informing FIFA governance. They sent it back to us with a pre-approval, provided our Congress actually goes through the process of making it a part of our statutes. And today, when we met at Pampam, we had majority of our members agreeing to that decision. And so going forward, our statutes will be amended. It will become part of the regulations for running football in Ghana, and it will take effect at the next electoral Congress of the FA.
Okay. Now we are told that the normalization committee did not necessarily agree with this school of thought. Considering that was a committee that was set up to save Ghana football, would you not agree with critics who say you are taking Ghana football back by disagreeing with a proposal by the committee that came to save Ghana football?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think laws are made for us, and upon review, upon consideration, analysis, certain key factors that affect the development of the game, we are at liberty to make amendments. Currently, yes, the normalization committee was put in place as an interim body to steer the affairs of Ghana football. Their job was done. They handed over power to a normal administrative structure or an administrative system that elected the current leadership of the Football Association. Now, on that day, when the current statutes was actually enacted into law and it became the statutes that will run Ghana football, members even agreed that we will take steps to amend certain portions of the statutes. Now, the term or the tenure of the president is not the only proposal that we sent to FIFA. There were other proposals. There were members of the FA who felt that the current structure or formation of the executive council needs to be expanded from 12 to its own, which had all footballers serving on the executive council, then the executive committee. This was also tabled before, and they vehemently denied us that right. There was also proposals or suggestions that came from our members that we should expand the electoral college of the council. Or we speak, the electoral college of the FA is made up of 124 members. They have voted, and these include Premier League clubs, Women's League clubs, Constituent Football Association of Ghana, the Referees Association, the Coaches Association, schools and colleges. They come together to form the electoral, and they have the voting right. Some members felt that we needed to expand the electoral college from its current 124 to 200. That was also governance. There were others that we should change our current format of the second tier competition, which is the Division 1 league, from a zonal competition to a national competition where participating teams will play the length and breadth of the country. That has been thrown back to us, and FIFA says if we have the funding and the right source of, funding to push that, we should take that decision. And so, years or we will take steps to also that particular of our regulations. It's work in progress.
Okay.
The nominalization committee did a particular job, which came to a normal body to take over, and that normal body look at certain statutes that do not conform continental and world, and
okay.
so that we will do continuously just to align with what is done in other jurisdictions.
What would you say to critics who say Kurt cooked this and is now eating it, and that this was purely done to favor him?
Well, I think it will be premature to speak to that issue, and the reason is that the president is in his second term. He is in the second year of his second term. As we speak, until today, he wasn't allowed by law to go for a third term. Again, as we speak today, he hasn't said he would contest the next elections. So until he publicly declare his intentions to run again, it will not be fair to make these sorts of arguments.
Very well. And
he wants to finish his second term, and after that, if he has any desire whatsoever to run again, then we can go into the meat of the issue.
Even if he were, I mean, you wouldn't begrudge him. 114 votes out of 124, it's a huge win, and so maybe congratulations will be in order. My only difficulty, though, is was the voting by secret ballot, or it was by voice vote, or people raised their hands? Because the media was not allowed in the voting room. How do you do your votes at
the practice of the FA, those who are in favor raise their hand. The scrutineers count those who are in favor, and then once they are done, those who are against also raise their hands. They will count the number of people who are against, and then if there are abstentions, they will also count them. So by virtue of that practice, yes, we have 114 in favor, 6 against, and then 4 abstained.
Considering that this is a very crucial matter, I don't know what you think, what's your personal view, and I want to tap into your cap now as a journalist. Would you really say that this would be devoid of intimidation where people are voting in the open? Would you not consider secret ballots in the future for crucial matters like this? This is me tapping into your view as a journalist.
Well, over the years, this has been the practice. Yes, suggestions are always welcome. We will take it in good faith. If it is that the Executive Council and Congress feel that some of these practices, are not helpful in our democratic dispensation, and they want to consider secret balloting or maybe any other process, that will be considered. But this has been the practice all over the years. There hasn't been any issues, complaints, challenges whatsoever, even though your concern is also valid and can be taken on board as we go along.
What about allowing the media in during the vote? We are told this is the first time that's happening. Any reason?
Okay, first of all, the Congress was live on all our platforms for those who are within Ghana and outside Ghana to observe what was going on in the auditorium. Secondly, we also want to again, move apart with what is done at the FIFA level and also at the CAF level. At the CAF level and at the FIFA level, Congress is done without media presence. The media is confined in a certain area after the normal proceedings on the floor. Then there is a press conference, and that is what we did today. Once the official proceedings came to an end, we met the press. The other issue is that looking at the auditorium, we had 124 delegates present. We had about 50 special guests. Also, sometimes when you have to see people sitting comfortably to observe what is happening, you have people standing, you have people crisscrossing cameras and all of that. So going forward, we decided that we cannot do without the media. We need to find another means of making them a useful part of the process. So if the size of the auditorium is a challenge and we don't have the capacity to move elsewhere, the best thing we can do is that when they come in, we welcome them. They do the pre-Congress event by interviewing people about their expectations. After that, we put all of them together somewhere. We stream the event on our platforms and they can monitor whatever is happening so that after that, this process is what we believe we will find another means of bringing in the media by putting them maybe elsewhere and not necessarily the Congress room, just to make them a part of the process. And once we are done, we will do a brief. Okay. And that is what we did today. And then we hope to get better. I mean, it's life. In life, change is part of the process. So we'll continue to review, look at it again, review, look at it again until we get better.
Yeah, thank you so much. Before you go, another proposal that you could kindly take to the team that should make
Hey, I want to say millennium, say millennial. Oh, millennium for ya nyaze. Switch to the app. Why you smart? I know you're secure.
Enter a world of possibilities with the Momo app. Be your favorite merchant, pay utility bills, and borrow from our wide range of lending services. Move to the app side today. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News. Let's do some more stories. President John Dramani Mahama has announced the creation of a fund to support the children of the 8 Ghanaians who perished in the August 6 helicopter crash. Speaking at the third-day funeral rite of the late Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Lumuna, President Mahama stressed the need to ensure that the primary dependents of the deceased persons do not reel under the impact of their demise. The fund, according to the President, will be launched at a state funeral for the departed 8, slated for Friday, August 15.
What we have to take up to make sure that the absence of the parents does not adversely affect the innocent children. We'll do a state funeral on Friday for we will announce some program for creating a fund that will education of their children. And so on Friday I'll announce the details of that so that persons who want to contribute for the future of the children they've left behind would have the opportunity to do so.
President John Mahama also reaffirmed his commitment to advance the reset agenda in honor of the deceased persons.
We say, it says God gives and God takes. And so we have no questions for God. We accept what he has done. What we have to do is to work even harder in their memories, because all of them were key champions of the reset agenda that we are pursuing as a government. So the reset agenda must be successful so that their deaths would not have been in vain.
President John Dramani Mahama there. The Menchia Palace has announced a ban on all funerals across Asanteman on Thursday, August 21, 2025, to enable the Asantehene and the people of Asanteman to observe the one-week celebration of the late Asantehema Nana Amakunedu Yadam III. The passing of the Asantehema was officially announced by the Asantehene Otumfo Oseit II at the Menchia Palace on August 11 during a mandatory Asanteman Council meeting attended by all paramountcies and clans yesterday. In a statement issued today, the palace said the observance will take place at Bujari Menchia Palace from 12 noon to 6 p.m., with all funerals suspended for the day in honor of the late Queen Mother. Away from that, education think tank Africa Education Watch has warned that the current school feeding program, which allocates 2 Ghana cedis per child per day, is unsustainable and fails to provide adequate nutrition. The education policy think tank says the reliance on imported staples such as rice and tinned tomatoes drives up costs, making it difficult to serve balanced meals within the budget. Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, Executive Director Kofi Asare recommended a shift to a system where local farmers and suppliers provide produce supported by contributions from corporate bodies and community groups.
How is one expected to provide a meal balanced with carbs and then protein for 2 cedis? I mean, it's a miracle. And so we have continued to urge government that this SFP, this school feeding programs, were designed not to be procurement activities. They were actually designed to provide communities an opportunity to participate in enhancing nutrition of their children while in school. But we have taken out the community participation element and made it a procurement activity. And so we only see it as 2 cedis buying food, instead of community bringing food stuff from their farms, etc., and then complementing it with 2 cedis. So a miracle happens in the basic schools.
He also noted that the current education minister has reduced the quota for public school students in Category A schools from 30% to 15%, and this year's BEC results will be the first real test of whether the change ensures fairer competition.
So the new minister has announced a change in policy, and I think the ministry has announced that it has halved that protocol allocation. So instead of giving 30% slots in Category A schools to public junior school candidates, before the remaining 70 will be based on merit, the ministry has halved it to 15%. And so we are here to see how the halving will impact on equitable and fair access at this year's BEC.
So this year's BEC and admissions will be very critical to see how this policy.
Exactly.
Kofi Asare is Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. The National Democratic Congress says it will contest the upcoming Akwatia by-election on September 2. In a statement, Deputy National Communications Officer Godwin Akogan described the governing NPP's decision not to contest the Tamale Central by-election as a strategic move to avoid defeat and gain public sympathy ahead of the Akwatia polls. He said this would not be the first time a party has declined to participate in a by-election, citing the NDC's own decision to stay out of the Ajisu race following the death of MP John Kuma. Mr. Akogan also conveyed condolences to the family of the late Ernest Kumi, whose passing prompted the by-election, and to the families of the 8 who died in the military helicopter crash.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Health should never be a worry, no matter where you are in the world. Are you a Ghanaian in the diaspora, a foreign resident in Ghana, or a Ghanaian looking for the perfect health insurance plan for yourself or your family in Ghana? Then the Apex Ebusiapa health cover is what you need. A comprehensive health insurance plan to protect your loved ones. From hospital stays to life-saving treatments, we ensure quality health care at an affordable cost. Apex Ebusiapa health cover. You don't just send love home, you secure it. Visit Apex Health Insurance at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shashi East Legon, or call 0540-128-256 or 0501-683912. Apex Ebusiapa Health Plan. Global love, local care.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Eno Safo. Let's settle for the details. Interest rates on loans in Ghana have dropped sharply, retreating from the 50% threshold seen earlier this year to between 20% and 40%. This is providing significant relief to households, SMEs, and corporates. The latest data of the June 2025 annualized percentage rates from the Bank of Ghana shows that borrowers who previously faced rates exceeding 50% for 1, 3, and 5-year tenors are now paying between 20% and 42%.
The decline signals broader easing in credit conditions. For the 1-year tenor, Bank of Africa offered the most competitive household loan rate at 20.2%, followed by Guarantee Trust Bank Ghana 23.7%. First Atlantic Bank followed with 24.2%, Republic Bank Ghana with 24.9%, and GCB Bank with 26.7%. The highest rate under this tenor came from Prudential Bank Ghana at 42.2%. For the 3-year tenor, Republic Bank Ghana again led with the lowest rate at 21.4%, ahead of Guarantee Trust Bank with 21.9% and Standard Chartered Bank at 22.7%. Carl Bank recorded the highest rate at 39.6%. Under the 5-year tenor, Republic Bank offered 20.7%, with Guarantee Trust Bank at 20.9% and Societe Generale Ghana at 21.1%, following closely. Standard Chartered Bank and Fidelity Bank rounded up the top 5 with 21.7% and 22.2% respectively. The APR, which captures the true cost of borrowing, reflects not only the Ghana reference rate but also bank-specific risk premiums and charges. The easing rates could stimulate private sector investment and consumer spending, though the pace of bank rate adjustments will determine how quickly borrowers feel the full impact.
Natili Nesiajahu filed that Business Desk report. Asante Gold Corporation has secured agreements to unlock approximately $500 million in financing, a major boost for the gold miners' expansion and debt restructuring plans in Ghana. The financing package, according to the company, is designed to fund development at the Bibiani and Chirano gold mines, settle obligations to Kinross Gold Corporation, retire short-term liabilities, and strengthen working capital. Daniel Udrumensa has more in the following reports.
In a statement issued on August 11, Asante Gold Corporation noted that the package, the corporation to accelerate growth while improving its balance sheet. The deal combines multiple funding streams, including a $150 million senior debt facility, a $125 million mezzanine facility, among others. As part of the package, the corporation has finalized a restructuring agreement with Kinross. The terms include a $53 million cash payment. Kinross will relinquish certain security interests in favor of a restructured arrangement subordinate to the new senior lenders. The first stage, expected by August 15, will release around $350 million from escrow and other facilities. The second stage, set for the end of August, will draw the remaining $145 million from the senior debt facility, with gold prices holding strong and investor appetite for West African mining assets growing. Analysts see the financing as a significant step toward securing the corporation's position in Ghana's competitive gold sector.
Daniel Udrumensa filed that report. The Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy is urging the government to secure additional natural gas supplies ahead of planned maintenance of the Atriabo gas processing plant. The organization says such measures would help cut costs and prevent dependence on more expensive alternative fuels. Executive Director of the Center, Benjamin Nsia, cautioned that without adequate contingency plans, the shutdown could place pressure on energy supply and weigh heavily on public finances.
I think that we need to plan some of these maintenances and ensure that before the year starts, we know of these maintenance issues, and then engage in other fuel supply or natural gas supplies to continue to feed us more of natural gas. I think that we must begin to utilize the Tema LNG plant, which also is a terminal that is expected to be used in importing a lot of natural gas into the country. So when we begin to use some of these things, I think that in terms of the environmental impact, it may be limited because we may not diversify our energy sources into using other liquid fuels which have higher environmental consequences compared to the natural gas.
Benjamin Nsia is Executive Director for the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. The Ghana Shippers Authority has hinted of plans to establish a task force at the ports to ensure shipping lines comply with the Bank of Ghana's directive to publish daily exchange rates used for invoicing. This move follows the Bank of Ghana's introduction of new guidelines for applying exchange rates within the shipping industry. The bank noted that the published exchange rate must be readily available to customers and clearly communicated to them before the issuance of any invoice or payment request. Professor Ransford Jampo is the CEO of the authority.
The fact that we have even gone on to secure a from the Bank of Ghana to compel some shipping lines to do the needful to refrain from the arbitrary application of their own exchange rate. We at the Shippers Authority are also setting up a task force to monitor compliance of this decision. As you may be aware, the Shippers Authority is, per its new mandate as given to it by the Act, expected to receive charges from all service providers at the port.
You heard the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor Ransford Jampo. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Eno Safo. Up next is Points Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru Sanda. Well, tonight we're talking local governance issues. You don't know that if you fix our local governance, a lot of our problems will be solved. Many people say government is too far away from them. So, for instance, if you live in Bintiri, Bintiri is between Nalerigu and Gushawu. I mean, you want the president to come and fix your drains? No way. So you have a local government official. You have a unit committee chairman. That's the closest person you have to you. Then you have an assembly member. Then you have a district chief executive. Then you have a regional minister. Minister for local government. Before you get to the Oga Kwata Kwata at the top. But what is the problem with our local government, and how come we are not seeing development at the local level? There's an idea which is intended to coordinate all these affairs so that we see development. So we have set up something called the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. In Ghana, we have plenty of offices. So there's a whole secretariat. It's actually housed like 2 meters from the House of Parliament. Now that office is the one we are focusing on tonight. My guest is from that office. He's George Laye. He's Director in charge of Policy and Research at the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization Secretary. You're welcome to Eyewitness Newsroom.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Are you related to Derek Laye?
Oh, no.
Are you related to Neil Laye Afutiagbo?
Not yet.
Oh, so which Laye are you related to?
I am related to one Professor Samuel Laye.
Okay. Is this Laye is Nungwa?
No, I come from Jamestown.
Oh, okay. Hope everything is well.
Very well.
This is your office. What is Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization? What is it?
Also, the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization is actually a mechanism that's been put in place to coordinate the implementation of decentralization reforms at the national level and also at the decentralized local government level.
So at the national level, it has ministries or ministers?
Yes, so at the national level, it is made up of ministers and heads of selected institutions, include that's the NDPC, the head of civil service, and the head of the local government service, in addition to some ministers.
So which ministers?
So for the ministers, we have the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Finance, Minister for Education, Minister for Health, and the Minister for Food and Agriculture.
Is it the minister or an official from the ministry that's supposed to be part of this committee?
The minister.
Really?
Yes.
So the person appointed to head that, and I remember the last time it was the man who became spokesperson for Dr. Bawumia, Dennis Miracles Abuaji, a former MCE.
Yes.
He was a coordinator in the last Akufo-Addo administration.
Yes.
Who is the head now at you?
So the head of the IMCC secretariat at the moment is Dr. Gameli Keweribi Hodiofia.
So he coordinates the affairs of these when there's a meeting, the ministers are sitting, he's chairman.
The IMCC. So probably I need to tell you about how the IMCC mechanism works.
Please tell me.
So when you talk about decentralization is considered a developmental sector made up of a number of individual ministries. Now, historically, the problem has been who should lead this developmental sector. And this is what led to the establishment of the IMCC, that we have a committee that brings together these ministers and is chaired by His Excellency the President of the Republic. So he's able to crack the whip to drive the implementation of decentralization reforms.
Yeah, I'm just curious that a non-minister will be the one coordinating the affairs of a minister, or he's doing that on behalf of the president?
On the behalf of the president.
Is this a legal setup or?
Yes, so the IMCC is in law. When you take the Local Governance Act, Section 204 of the Local Governance Act, it gives you details of the membership of the IMCC and its functions. Yes.
And so the law set this up since when?
So since 2016. So when the Local Governance Act was passed in 2016.
But I only saw I thought it was a new office. Has it always been at that?
Yes, it has always been. In fact, it has been in existence since 2010.
No, the physical office space where it is now, it's always been there?
Yeah. So we started from the Institute of Local Government Studies at Obojo. That was where the office used to be. And then somewhere around 2018, we moved to the present location. That's the Office of the President Annex.
Yes, so that's where you operate from. You're actually under the Jubilee House. You're under the presidency.
Yes, we are.
Talk to us about what you are supposed to do. What is the mandate of this IMCC?
So as I indicated earlier, the mandate of the IMCC is for the intersectoral coordination of decentralization. And I said at the national level and also at the decentralized local governance level.
Does it mean you have replica offices in regions and districts?
No, we do not have replica districts in regions and districts. But the point is that whatever we do at the national level, right, decentralization, it ends with local governance. So that is where our interest is, to make sure that the things that, the decisions that are made at the national level are translated into effective local governance.
Why do we need this when we have a Ministry for Local Government? It used to be Ministry for Local Government and Rural Development.
Yeah.
I think under Akufo-Addo was Ministry for Local Government and Decentralization.
Yes.
I don't know what President Mahama calls his own. Is it the same?
It's
that's Chieftaincy?
Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs.
So Ministry for Local Government,
Ministry for Local
Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Why do we need a decentralization coordinating committee?
So as I explained earlier, decentralization is a developmental sector made up of individual sector ministries. And the challenge over the years has been that you cannot have a minister of one of these ministries, right, commandeering his colleague ministers to say, hey, let your powers go, let your resources go, and let your functions go, right? So we needed a body that brings together all the various ministers, right, who are involved in decentralization, and is chaired by the president, so that we can push the agenda of reforms. Decentralization is a struggle. It is a struggle that national level does not want to let go of its functions, resources.
Okay. So what are the functions, the key functions? So what are some of the things that you have been doing since 2010 when you were set up, or 2012?
So let me just put on record that the existence of the IMCC has seen more progress in the implementation of decentralization than when we didn't have none. Okay. So we've had some reform activities that had been on the drawing board for several years, that with the establishment of the IMCC, then it came to life. A typical example, for instance, even the harmonization of key legislations for the local governance sector is one of the major things that the IMCC has been able to do. We've also seen the transfer of critical staff. It was the establishment of the IMCC that led to the decoupling of the local government service from the civil service. We've also passed a number of legislations to ensure that we can have effective local governance. We have also implemented policies, 4 major policies since 2010 to guide the implementation of decentralization reforms. And I don't know whether you know about the composite budgeting system.
Talk to me about it.
So the composite budgeting system is a budget for decentralized departments at the local level. So the IMCC, ensured that the composite budgeting system, which had been on the drawing board for so many years, was activated. And through that system, departments at the local level can have their own budget to fund their activities, the functions that have been transferred to them. In summary, the IMCC has brought much more transformation to local governance.
In the beginning of the discussion, I said if you live in Bintri, I don't know what you are from Accra, so
it doesn't matter. We've been around the country.
So if you're, and I don't mean you don't know there. I was going to mention your village, but I realize your village is our city. That's Accra, so I cannot use your village as an example. But say Basa in the OT region.
Yeah, I know there.
If they need electricity,
yes,
what is the role of your secretariat in helping them get electricity, for instance?
Okay, so not directly, but at least in the Local Governance Act, right? The DC, for instance, is in charge. So as far as that jurisdiction is concerned, he is in charge, and he has a role to ensure that services are provided to the citizens in these spaces, right? So the direct responsibility of our office would be to ensure that the MMDC is empowered enough to deliver on his mandate. And part of this includes making sure that he has the resources, right, to undertake the functions that he has to undertake.
Does it mean that what the IMC does is just to do policy? You don't do you don't execute, you only do policy?
No, we don't implement.
So a typical meeting of the president and all those ministers who are part of the IMC,
yes,
what would be like? What would it be like? The president would say, "I want us to focus on rural electrification," or "I want us to focus on providing water or boreholes." Is that the kind of thing he would say? And then let's streamline and see finance. What will be your contribution? NDPs. Is that the kind of typically what happens?
So typically, one of the things that one of the sectors that we've been struggling to decentralize for some time now is the education and health sectors.
Explain that.
So we want to transfer. When we talk about decentralization in Ghana, it has different meanings. But when we say devolution of services, it means that we want this service, the decision as far as these services are concerned, to be made at the local level. So we want the district assembly to oversee education and health at the local level. Currently, that is not what it is. Even though they have a presence there, right, they are not devolved. So regarding the devolution of health and education. That could be a typical agenda for an IMCC meeting. So basically, the minute the president would want to find out what the challenges are, and then we can put in place an action plan for the rollout of such a intervention or such a decision. And the secretariat is the one that operationalizes or ensures that the decisions of the IMCC are being implemented. So we monitor.
So you are supposed to be the bridge between Accra and the village?
Not necessarily.
You don't do a bridging of development needs and policies?
No.
You don't engage in bridging them?
No.
Okay. What is the status of our national level development versus our local level development? There appears to be power centered at the top versus power at the down or at the bottom.
Yes.
What has been your secretariat's objective in changing that, and how has it been done so far?
So, for instance, what we have done is that we've put in place a national decentralization policy and strategy. So basically, the policy and the strategy seeks to operationalize the aspirations of decentralization as enshrined in the Constitution. So that at a local level, we can realize these aspirations, because the Constitution says, as far as practicable, there are certain functions that must be performed at the local level. Now, how do you operationalize that? You will operationalize it by having activities or actions that will lead to this to this realization of the aspirations. So a typical example, for instance, is the desire of every Ghanaian that our MMDCs are elected, right? So the IMCC, for instance, as part of our new policy that we are preparing right now, we would put an activity like that in the policy and ensure its implementation.
Okay, there is a sustainable development agenda, which is a global agenda for the United Nations.
Yes.
We have our own agenda 63? 63.
That's the AU one.
We have the AU one. Even NDPC, we have agenda 2040 or something like that, don't we?
Yeah.
And then we have the NDC's own manifesto, building the Ghana we want.
Yes.
What is the role of the IMCC in ensuring we get the Ghana we want, or we build the Ghana we want? What are some of the measures that have been put in place, both at the local level and at the national level, to ensure we have these things done? And how do we tie our development with the SDGs, which expire in 2030?
Yes, so probably I didn't say this earlier, but we are currently in the process of developing a national decentralization policy and strategy. Now, this policy is prepared with inputs from all the relevant stakeholders, right? So the NDPC, for instance, which is in charge of this agenda, is one of the key stakeholders that we have engaged as much as possible in even developing the medium-term development guidelines, for instance. I mean, we were consulted, and we also consult them to ensure that there's some sort of synergy between these aspirations and even the policy that we are developing. So there's a linkage between whatever we do and what the national level institutions are doing.
We live in a country where the NDPC policies usually do not transcend a change of government. How are you able to deal with that so that the NDPC agenda is really a national agenda and not a political party agenda? Because we have party manifestos that have to be executed, and then we have NDPC. How do you deal with that?
So as much as possible, I mean, governance is a continuum. I would say that as much as possible, for instance, if we take the policy that we inherit, I mean, we inherited a process. We didn't throw that process away. We continued from what we inherited. We looked at what was good about it, and then we tried to draw linkages to try and make meaning of what was in the previous one, and then at least translate into the new one too.
So this, when you sit at the IMCC at Accra, do you talk? And when I say talk, not you as a person, but the offices, do you talk with the SDG coordinators? Because that's NDPC, right? Do you have some relationship with them where you check with each other? How about the AU's development agenda that we are working with? Is there some correlation?
Yes, we do. As I indicated, the chairman of the NDPC is a member of the IMCC. He is also a member of the IMCC Technical Committee. So yes, there is that relationship between this IMCC Secretariat, which services the IMCC and the NDPC. So
While
yes.
you work at decentralization of development, what about decentralization of budgets? How is that working?
So one of the things that decentralization is about is also what we call fiscal decentralization. So if you remember from the beginning, I said that decentralization is about the transfer of funds, that the funds must follow the functions. So and I talked about the composite budget. So all of these are in the frame of the transfer of, as you indicated, budgets, if that helps.
Practically, how does that work?
Which one?
The fiscal decentralization.
So fiscal decentralization simply means that funds must follow functions. So if we have determined that certain functions must be performed at the local level, then those budgets that are meant for those functions have to follow those functions. And we do that through the composite budgeting system. So that these departments at the local level that are responsible for these functions, right, are given the resources, the funds, to be able to implement the functions that have been transferred.
It sounds to me as your office is superfluous. I have not been convinced, because everything you were saying so far is what the ministers at the ministries do and the district chief executives are doing. I do not see how your IMCC is fitting into this wheel at all. Can you tell me why your office is necessary? Because I don't seem to see it.
So that's what I indicated earlier on. That probably the good things that you see with our local government that you are saying that the MMDCs are doing and the ministers are doing is probably because of the IMCC.
How? Because they go to the minister for local government. They don't come to how many MCs or DCs?
Not directly. We are not directly responsible for this.
Yeah. So then what?
Right?
It sounds like your office.
But the reforms that we have experienced with our local governance has been as a result of the work of the IMCC. And I give a typical example of this law. For instance, this law was formulated with the IMCC driving it, and this law to a very large extent has helped speed up operations in the sector or activities in the sector.
We have the administrator for the common fund.
Yes.
That person gives money to the DCEs to operate.
They have assemblies,
yes, to the assemblies. They have their own IGFs, and that's what they rely on. Recently, we saw the district road improvement program, the DRIP, again being executed at a local level. So I do not see still how you are connected to that, and that's what I want to understand. Did you play any role in that? Because I think it was the administrator of the common fund that supported the procurement of vehicles or equipment.
Well, that is not directly linked to what the IMCC does anyway.
Yeah, but you are ensuring local development and decentralization. But this is critical.
Yes.
Road construction is critical. If you are not involved in there, then what really are you involved in?
So that is a service that has not been decentralized yet, and it's one of the things that we are working to ensure that.
Which one?
The decentralization of the function of roads. To the local
but they've
level.
done it already. That's what the DRIP is
so
doing.
there are things happening, but we need to regularize them.
It means that you are way behind. We
are not way behind. It's just that probably one of the struggles that we've had with decentralization has been that of mindset, attitudes that people are not, national level institutions are not very willing to decentralize. So I indicated earlier on that decentralization is a struggle. That is what we have been trying to.
When you say there's a difficulty with decentralization, so take a ministry and tell us things that should have been decentralized that have not been decentralized, and how difficult that has been.
So for instance, if you take health, for instance, health is one of the, when you look within the Local Governance Act, health is one of the sectors that we have indicated that we want to decentralize.
But we have all the way to CHIPS compound.
No, it's not decentralized. Yes, they have a presence there, but they have not been devolved.
Explain that.
Devolved means that they are not under the direct control of the district assemblies. That's what we mean by.
But we have district director of health.
Yes, but he's not an officer of the district. He's an officer of the ministry.
But why does he have to be an officer of the?
Because
of the
what devolution means is that people at the local level should be able to should be part of the planning as far as health decisions are concerned. That's what it means. So when we say decentralization at the local level, we are talking about devolution. So we want the people to be part of the decisions that affect them. One of the things that we want the people to be involved in making decisions is the issue of health, education, roads, and all of that. Not that we sit in Accra and determine which roads should be constructed. It should be the people determining what roads are their priorities and all of that.
So you want to work on another law for that?
No, it's not. Yes, so there's a law. There's already a law in place, but that law needs to be revised or reviewed to establish the health department at the local level as a department of the district assembly.
What is the role of the citizens in the local level and decentralization agenda? How involved have they been?
So I think that has been one of the challenges of decentralization. For instance, when it comes to citizen participation, over the years, even when you take elections, for instance, even elections at the local level, we realize that the interests of the people are very low. This is based on data when it comes to turnout for local level elections. So it's one of the conversations that we need to have. We need to show more interest in local governance so that more and more people can be interested. And it will interest you that the further you go away from Accra, then you begin to realize how important the local governance. For us in Accra, probably we're not too keen, but at the local people far away from Accra, the rural areas, then you begin to see the interest.
You are the director in charge of research.
Yes.
What is the ground saying about whether or not we should vote for our DCEs?
I mean, the Afrobarometer findings show that Ghanaians want election of MMDCs.
But that failed the last time we attempted to.
Yes, but they don't. But they want it on non-partisan basis. So I think probably that's why it failed the last time.
So the thinking on the ground is that we should vote for our local development bosses.
Yes.
But they should be not partisan.
Yes.
Does it make sense to you, considering that even our assembly members who are not supposed to be partisan, we do know they are partisan positions?
Well, I mean, it's something that at least for now, for starters, let us start with this, and then probably gradually we can.
Because if we are learning from advanced democracies like the US,
yes,
the governor of a state, for instance, is like the head of that state.
Yes.
He's political. We know which party he belongs to.
Yes. You see, I think.
And so, if we want to, why don't we just say that we are voting them on partisan lines?
That's what. So I mean, we tried it. We tried it and it failed.
Okay.
Right.
We didn't even put it to a vote.
We didn't put it to a vote because I mean the signals that the government picked at that time showed that it would fail. So yes, we didn't even put it to a vote. But now it looks as if there's at least there's desire among Ghanaians that we should vote, right? And the consideration is that we do this on non-partisan basis. So let us start with this, and then probably as we get along, we can go the route of partisan approach.
Do you know what the plan by this government is to put that back to a referendum? The idea of voting for DCs. Do you know what the status?
Well, the current approach of government does not require a referendum. It only requires the review of the amendment of Section 243 of the Constitution, and that does not require
section.
Yes, Article 243, of the Constitution, and that does not require a referendum.
It's parliamentary majority.
Yes.
And do you know whether there are plans to put that before the House of Parliament?
Well, as far as I am concerned, I know that there's some discussions going on, but I do not have the clear indication of dates and all of that.
I think there was something you celebrated, AU Day of Decentralization.
Yes.
What's that about? And how are we fitting in?
That was the 10th of August.
How are we fitting in? What is it about?
So it's part of the broader AU architecture that a day is set aside to commemorate decentralization, or to shed more light on decentralization as a critical developmental tool for African countries, so that at least we're able to put the discussion on decentralization on the front burner. So that is what the day is about.
Are there some indicators or KPIs that we have to check, and how did we do? How did we fare?
All right, I'm not very aware of any indicators yet, but I think it's something that I can find out.
Very well. Mr. George Lai, thank you so much for joining us for Point Blank.
You're welcome.
That's the Director of Policy and Research at the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization Secretariat. Well, that was by way of Eyewitness News for tonight, which came to you from our studios in Accra. Before I go, let me bring some of the messages you've been sending through on some of the stories we've been sharing with you. Kofi Yareni in Adenta Commando says, it has still been so difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that these great individuals are no more with us. The NCA has been merciful to these media houses. Mausi Ayebi Aista in Abutiateti says, the closure of 9 radio stations, including 3 pro-MPP affiliates, follows their failure to adhere to prior warnings despite a 30-day grace period. Next message. Daniel Akpaliok in Sandema says, I support the NCA's decision to close the 9 media stations as it is a necessary step toward restoring sanity and professionalism in our media space. Next. Gastiman in Brekum says, is this what the so-called reset means? This government is obviously bent on humiliating Wontumi same way they did in 2012. Hadi from Pig Farm says, our lives go on without you, but nothing is the same. We have to hide our heartaches when someone speaks your name. Sad are the hearts that love you. Silent the tears that fall, living our lives. Okay. Zilis Dwayne in London says, nobody is above the law. Jones Aduboyinla says, good evening, Omaru. Considering how it was done in the past, this time around, because processes and procedures were followed by NCA, which the lawyer even admitted, please let's allow institutions to work. Accept my condolences for the loss of your father. Thank you. Prosper says, please let the roads minister know that the Asanteman Sawam Road is now a national death trap. We commuters on the route are really suffering as if we aren't part of Ghana. We can't imagine that what we go through to get to work every day. What wrongs have we committed? Finally, Rubin Ahogan from Akachi in the Volta region says, the Minister for Communication has taken the right step by suspending the radio and TV licenses for stations that don't want to adhere to the directive being given by the Honorable Sam George, Minister for Communication. I am Umar Rusanda Amado. I did this tonight with Eno Safo, production by Kobina Wilson, Beverly London, Juliana Odami Asari, Emmanuel Ayama, technical support from Emmanuel Lati, new media support from Emmanuel Usu and the team. We'll be back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and have a good night.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, City 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at City 973.
City 97.3. Accra.
We are taking the girls away.